How's everyone doing? It's been an amazing, amazing week. It's been phenomenal to see the response of the community over the last couple of days with what's happening with Sui. I'm very excited to be talking about the future of gaming on Sui. As recapped already, yesterday was filled with announcements. I think today you're going to hear from Stacey, who's going to tell you about what MoviePass is doing with Mogul. Very excited about that announcement. Yesterday, we also learned a bit about what's happening in regards to Fireblocks. Fireblocks is going to be bringing institutional-grade custody to a wide range of people with Sui for the first time. Very excited about that. Stacks is bringing SBTC straight to Sui, and we also are finally going to begin that freaking ETF with 21 shares. I think, again, Sui is moving in the right direction. What I'm super stoked to be talking about with you today is the future of gaming. A year ago, I was at Basecamp talking on stage with Kirt about the SuiPlay0X1. Usually in crypto, we're very used to vaporware. People promise all sorts of nonsense and never deliver. But today, you would see in our hands playing both, you could play Wukong, you could play whatever game you want in the SuiPlay0X1. We'll be doing a live and direct on this show, right on stage. And let's talk about what's going to happen with gaming and why we are very, very much invested in that space, and why we also believe that it is where the billions of users are going to come from into crypto. So the industry is really at the edge of user transformation. I want to talk a bit about gaming and the business model and what needs to change over time. We think the way in which players are going to engage with game studios or games as a whole is going to be transformed using crypto. Not just crypto, but really the idea that I own my assets and I get to keep my assets and I can decide to transfer that asset to whoever I want over time. The time I spend in a game or using the wallet as a way to capture users' attention is going to be a thing rather than a session cookies, which we all hate, terrible ads that we get day by day today. So gaming is the most powerful channel by which we're going to reach people. 3.3 billion gamers, that's nearly half the world is playing video games today. So as I mentioned, from a revenue point of view, gaming alone brought $200 billion last year. That's more than movies, that's more than music. It is an institution in its own right. It's only growing. That revenue, potential for revenue is growing, but we're starting to see a bit of a stagnation in that growth. Are we reaching a point where it's been saturated, or is it more of a business model problem for gaming? So despite the size and the scale of gaming, we are starting to see a drop-off in revenue. We are starting to see rising costs. Acquisition costs are going through the roof. Cost of maintaining and sustaining users is also very, very high. Players don't really own the assets they have. We've seen a bunch of NFT projects try to launch games, or at least game studios are already charging you $100 for a game and ask you to buy a useless NFT that does nothing for you. There's an element of a search of the soul that's happening where there's a desperation to find a new business model, because you cannot sustain your business if your cost for acquiring users has gone up by 5x. Something needs to change fundamentally to that model. Annual growth rates, something I'd be worried about if I was a private equity investor or venture investor. If you're seeing double-digit growth go down to like single-digit growth, it's an area you might start to wonder whether you should be making such investments. We're seeing a ton of layoffs in the gaming space. Some of the largest gaming studios in the world are cutting costs because, again, the cost of marketing, the cost of acquisition of users, those are going through very, very high. And therefore, your revenues are being squeezed significantly. Also, the ability for you to grow the amount of users that you bring on board into gaming is starting to reduce. Because of, again, UA being one of the most important things, it's very, very difficult to sustain a business model where, yesterday it cost you $5 per million user, then, so $5 per 1,000 users, now it's $50 per 1,000 users. That business model can never be sustained. So there is a need to change the business model of gaming. So our model is simple. I mean, what we're trying to do is very, very simple, right? We want to use Sui as the ultra-scalable platform to enable game studios to build amazing user experiences. Problem with gaming right now, the payment rails are very, very clunky, very expensive to use, don't work in every single region. Crypto can solve that problem. If you plug into the Sui blockchain, you get a crypto rail available to you instantaneously. With kiosks and other mechanisms in Sui, you have the ability to deal with the buying and selling of goods, the transfer of goods, setting royalty prices, enforcing royalties, the kind of things you want to do as a business and don't have to build that stack yourself. So the amount of investment you need to make to actually build your business starts to go down. You don't need to invest in engineering to solve some of the more prominent problems that you have as a business. So it's an economic problem that has to be solved from a gaming perspective. Also, the wallet will be where the attention is reached. If I drop something in your wallet that I know ultimately you are more likely to engage, I might be willing to pay $25 to acquire you as a user rather than paying $25 and maybe pray and spray and never get anything actually done. So that will be where the ads really exist in long term. But also the idea of owning assets, the idea that I can spend my time, my attention, and trade that in the future is going to be where the world's going. I mean, my kids play Roblox. I'm being asked every day for like $5 Roblox from time to time. That idea, I think every time they ask me to buy Roblox, I should be buying Roblox stock, but yeah, that's a different story. But that world of buying, owning assets, keeping assets in your pocket, transferring it, trading it, it's already happening to a large scale. We actually announced a partnership with a partner that's already doing, allowing you to trade assets from game to game directly. We'll be talking more about that in our next set of events. But generally, the world needs to go to a place where users have a lot more control about their in-game assets, more control about what they buy, what they sell. And I think giving publishers that freedom from app stores who are literally bleeding you 20, 30% is something that needs to change. The blockchain can give you that. It can be the new distribution channel. It would be the unencumbered distribution channel for major game studios. Without having to pay those fees, I think that money can now go back to reinvesting in building more impactful, more attentive games. So the SuiPlay0X1, you've had it in your hands. We're going to demo on stage today, but it's going to be shipping this summer. We actually have 250 of the devices here. That's going to some beta testers as of today. And it will be shipping from summer, and the last one should be in your hands, hopefully before the end of September. So all 10,000 devices have been sold, are all called for. But overall, it's been a phenomenal experience getting the SuiPlay0X1 and building the SuiPlay0X1. I think what people have been saying about it, it's a premium device. It feels amazing in your hands. The screen quality is phenomenal. The graphics, you're seeing 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, fluid motion in the games that you play. This is not some $30 Temu offering. This is a premium thing that you hold in your hand that you play any game you want. Steam, Epic, GOG, Web3 games, you name it. It is a device that you would proudly hold in your hand and take with you in travels, play whatever game you want, plug it into your TV, stream, you name it. It's going to be the future of gaming, and it's centered on the Play OS, which we believe is the universal operating system for gaming for the future. So it's an Android moment for gaming. I don't know if any of you use a Pixel phone. The Google with the Android operating system have a Pixel device, and the Pixel device is the great example. It's an example of a premium benchmark that you want to set for manufacturers to go out to build. And you have a plethora of Android phones that are offered by Samsung, you name it. We believe it will be the same story with the SuiPlay0X1, with the SuiPlay being that premium hardware device that you purchase. And a number of OEMs are going to be building, already planning to build the Playtron devices for themselves that will compete with the SuiPlay0X1. That is our hope. That's exactly what we want. We want everybody to have a Playtron device, whether it's your set-top box or your TV, whether it's your phone that you flash the OS into, whether it's another competing handheld device. We've actually got people removing their SteamOS and installing the Playtron Alpha on their hardware device, and it works a lot faster. It's a lot smoother. It's unencumbered. It's a much better operating system. It will be the gaming operating system for the future. The amazing thing about that is each one of these operating systems comes with the ZK login technology. So every one is going to be a Sui user. By 2030, we want to capture the 3.3 billion users into the Sui ecosystem for gaming. This is how we take blockchain mainstream. It is not by forcing wallet downloads in people's faces. It's not about telling people to buy gas. It's not about telling people to buy tokens. It's about really giving them a utility, a transformative experience that changes the way in which they perceive a gaming experience. It should be an uplift of gaming. We don't talk about Web3 games in Mysten Labs. We talk about gaming. The underlying element of games is they should be fun, they should be engaging, they should be retentive. it should be a bit of a release from the day-to-day stress that you have. It should not be this thing that really creates a new level of friction for you. So with gaming on Sui, with gaming on Playtron and the SuiPlay0X1, you log in with your normal email and password. You're in, you have a wallet, you can transfer assets to your friends that you want using usernames. Just, my name is @Adeniyi. You can send me assets directly to @Adeniyi. No need to ask for long alphanumeric strings for addresses. It is the experience that the actual casual consumers are used to, and we up-level and bring that experience using very, very hard crypto to solve those prominent consumer-related problems. I want to talk about something very, very exciting. We talked about the antiquated problems with the payment rails in crypto. And we talked about the fact that it needs a major upgrade. I'm very excited today to be talking to you. I want to bring up a few friends on the stage, Zhao from M0 and Kirt from Playtron, who are going to talk about the G dollar, the new stablecoin for gaming. Come on, guys. Thanks. So, Zhao, you actually have an interesting background. I think you should tell folks a bit about what you've been doing in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. So my name is Reginado. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at M0. And for those who haven't heard about M0, we are a universal stablecoin platform. So we essentially help developers build application-specific digital dollars. So as you said, I know a thing or two about stablecoins. The topic today is gaming, but let's talk about stablecoins as well as a hot topic. Prior to M0, I worked at Circle for about 8 years. I've been in the stablecoin sector for about 8 years, and I led the build out of USDC at Circle, Eurocoin, cross-chain transfer protocol. I led all of the product teams at Circle for those years, and But I think at M0 we believe that stablecoins are going to be the backbone for how fintech is going to be built into the coming years. But for that they need to level up. If you guys think about how you use some products, on a day-to-day basis, whether it is a Robinhood of the world, an Uber, a Starbucks app, all of these things are effectively application-specific form factors of the dollar. And when you think about the use it actually involves two things. One is the value, right? These applications leverage the value of the dollar, and your balance is always worth what the dollar is worth. But another thing is the behavior of it. And the behavior of the dollar in all these applications is very custom to what they're trying to do. I mean, if you're using a Starbucks app, your dollar can only be used to buy coffee, products and services at Starbucks. Stablecoins today, in this first generation, they're very dumb. They're very horizontal, they're very general purpose. Everybody talks about programmability in stablecoins, but you actually cannot do anything. Only the issuers can program these stablecoins. At M0, we are bringing what we think is the next evolution of this kind of technology that will support the build out of fintechs and the build out of things like the game dollar that we're going to talk about, where effectively we allow developers to separate the value of the dollar, and they can take that component and reuse it, but there's not a lot of innovation to be done there. You just got to be very, very boring and very pragmatic. But you take that and extend the behavior to any application that you want, because you want to control how that dollar is going to be used, where it's going to be used, how the yield on reserve is going to be utilized. I mean, I don't expect my dollars on my Starbucks app to be earning me yield, right? But I want to get rewards. I want to get the loyalty from being a customer of their product. So we at M0, we support all of that to be built by developers, essentially, all with code on chain. So this is not like dumb white labeling. This is actually bringing the technology to allow what it can actually be done. We're super excited to be supporting Kirt and the Playtron team in building the game dollar and customizing the behavior of a stablecoin for a situation like gaming, for a use case like gaming. As part of that process, we'll be bringing the M0 infrastructure over to Sui in the coming months. We're super excited to support any application-specific use case of a dollar that folks are interested in building. And you guys can learn more about us at m0.org.
Thank you. So Kirt, I think it would be good for you to explain to folks why this actually matters. Like, why do we need yet another stablecoin? Right, we have USDC, USDT, we have a plethora of stablecoins.
Yeah.
when you look at gaming, so I was one of the founders of a company called Boost Mobile, and in early mobile in the US and around the world, they all sort of did everything commoditized to a couple of big mobile carriers. In the US we have T-Mobile and Verizon, et cetera. Now, Boost was the first youth-focused mobile offering. It did billions of revenue, we had 8 million customers. It was focused on the youth, surf, ski, skate, et cetera. When we look at stablecoins, we see sort of the same thing happening. We have a couple of big incumbent generics with Circle and Tether. But as I looked at the consumer market, I felt that we need something different. And for a consumer market stablecoin to work, I felt that you really have to focus on marketplaces. And when you look at marketplaces with a psychographic that would work with a stablecoin, it just seemed like gaming was the best place to begin. And a $200 billion market, how much of that transaction value could we attract over the next decade? And I felt that it could be very meaningful.
Yep.
And stablecoins, in my opinion, are really the thing that have crossed over to the mainstream. And if we want to get the mass market to start using wallets and taking advantage of crypto in ways that folks in this room are used to doing, it has to come from that direction. So we felt that with Playtron, hey, we're building an operating system for gaming. 18 months ago, we decided to do the SuiPlay device. Yeah. And then it just became relevant to me that, hey, if we're going to do something unique for gaming, a stablecoin makes a lot of sense to facilitate that marketplace ecosystem. And we think it's really interesting because as you start to grow the treasury, we intend to share yield with the publishers, the marketplaces and developers. So not only will Game Dollar be used within Playtron and on the OX1 device, and there's a bunch of stuff that we can really do that helps create new incentive for players, but we intend for other marketplaces to start using Game Dollar external to Playtron. So if we integrate with a marketplace, you can buy a game with Game Dollar, and that yield could be shared back in the marketplace. We'd ideally like to see that marketplace or app store use Game Dollar as well. With Epic winning their lawsuit against Apple, that the whole iOS ecosystem becomes open now, and then there's a
wide open.
Gaming is obviously a big part of that. So we think there's never been a better time to introduce a stablecoin for gamers. Now that yield could be used for customer acquisition, to reduce churn, to give players discounts on games. So a game might be $50 on Steam, but if you buy it with Game Dollar through another marketplace partner that's integrated into Playtron, it might only be $45, right?
Correct.
That becomes really compelling. At the same time, we think there's ways to use Game Dollar for smaller indie publishers. So you get big gaming ecosystems like Roblox that does great with something like Robux, but those economies only work when you have a game at scale. But if we start to aggregate real value amongst multiple marketplaces, app stores, and games, we think that a lot of indie developers can begin to use Game Dollar as well for, within their own ecosystems, and ultimately pass that value back to players. So this is what we're announcing today. We plan to launch it later this year.
Yep.
There's more to come with Game Dollar. We're looking at native marketplace in Playtron, and that'll all be powered by Game Dollar. So yeah.
Awesome. Round of applause for Kirt. So actually, stay on. Let's get who wants to see the SuiPlay device played live on stage? All right, let's do it. We've got the devices. Let's go. All right, I'm going to play Super 8, and Kirt is going to play
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring. Okay. All right, let me stand over here. So, as you can see, folks, this is not vaporware. This is live device, SuiPlay0X1, that you're going to have in your hands this summer with a super vibrant LCD screen. Some of the best features got added to this device. It's got a great accelerometer built in, great cooling, amazing battery life. So actually good. Why don't you show us how you play Elden Ring?
Our performance testing on the OX1 will outperform Switch 2 by, I think Elden Ring is getting at least 35 to 37 FPS. On Switch 2, you're going to be running at very low settings. And in handheld mode, it's probably going to get lower than 30 FPS. So the OX1 is more powerful than a Switch 2 out of the gate. Things like Cyberpunk, etc.
So basically, as a gamer, right, like I'm not having to make a decision between, okay, do I take my Switch with me or do I take something else, right? My PC games ultimately are now, I have the ability to take my PC games directly with me wherever I travel, correct?
What's that?
So you can tell this guy is a deep gamer. I was saying, now with a games console in my hand, right, I could basically have my PC games with me wherever I go, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. So ultimately, look, I think this is amazing, right? The fact that, look, we have two SuiPlay0X1s playing side by side. It would be great to see network gaming. It's got Wi-Fi inbuilt, so if you're going to do streaming with your friends, you can do it directly on device. I could plug in my Bluetooth headset and play directly with the device as well, before I get run over by Steamroller. There we go.
And again, you know, we have Steam, Epic, and GOG. So on a Steam Deck now, you can't play Epic games. So one of our friends at Epic was away recently with a device running Playtron, and he was playing Alan Wake 2, which is an Epic exclusive. And Tim Sweeney was like, dude, how are you playing Epic? How are you playing that on a Steam Deck? He goes, I have Playtron on it. So, you know, we're bringing together these multiple storefronts. These are games you can't even play on Steam Deck. We're planning in the future to bring all mobile games to Playtron as well. So you'll have probably well over 100,000 Android games. So we'll have PC, console, and mobile games all in a single experience. This is just something that doesn't exist today.
Yeah, I think the amazing thing about this now is the wallet is inbuilt to the device. So you'll be able to, one thing we're finalizing is the Android and iOS device that you use a QR code to set up your account entirely. So this is also a touchscreen, by the way, right? Beyond just having a key, the keypads, it's a built-in touchscreen that works directly as well. So this is really the premium offering for gaming in Web3. Web3 and the whole of crypto and everything beyond. The utility is here. Beyond just thinking about crypto games, it plays Web2 games as well. You don't have to make a decision anymore. This is really where the future of gaming needs to go. We need to go to the world where it's all ubiquitous. What do we think? I see Kirt is stuck in game mode.
Hey, she must have put it on easy, man. There's no evidence.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, man.
Take care. So look, we really believe in this future. We believe in this future because ultimately doing things from a product perspective that benefits consumers is always the right thing to do. It's also the most profitable thing to do, right? Build what consumers want, build what they enjoy, put the power in the hands of consumers, and ultimately you can build an amazing ecosystem as a result of that. The idea that app stores were going to rip you off 20-30% needs to go away. That value needs to go back into the game so studios can build more engaging games. The business model transformation is happening. That's what we're all about. It's beyond just the hype that you hear. You need to ultimately add business value for people to build on your chain or for people to build in your ecosystem. The slide that we showed to you at the beginning is it takes a lot more than an L1 to win the market. We're going after a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and to do that, you're going to need a plethora of things. We have games console, games OS, storage, compute, execution and coordination with Sui, passwords and secrets with Seal, off-chain verification with Nautilus, and it goes on and on and on, and Sui NS for naming and everything else. These are the building blocks of a decentralized internet that you're going to need to take on the next wave of developers. Nobody's building that but Mysten Labs, and I'm very, very proud to announce that ultimately we are here and we want to take over that market as a whole. Are you in this with us? Yes or no? Okay. So there'll be some people taking away SuiPlay0X1 for beta testing. Please don't come and hound me, ask me for one. There's a list, it's done, but we will get it in your hands as soon as possible, and we can't wait. We're more excited. We've never been as excited about anything we've been working on in Sui than the SuiPlay0X1. So we look forward to this summer. We look forward to the next event where you all bring it in and we'll be able to do some amazing battles. Look forward to seeing you all online. Take care.